I'm convinced that nothing that anyone says is true. If you ask anyone a question, regardless of how subjective or objective it might be, it could be, how many hours do you work in a week? And they will lie to you. Because if you are salary or full time or whatever, and you are working 40 hours a week, there is no way that you are actually working 40 hours a week. Because if you go into any corporate office and you take one look around, you know that at least half of the people at any given time during the day are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're walking around talking to people, or they're sitting on their phone, or they're shooting the shit in the lunchroom or the break room. And that is supposed to be an objective measurement. I mean, you're being hired to work 40 hours a week or however much it might be. You're hired to clock in for this, 6-hour shift, and the amount of time that you actually spend working is not even close to what you're being hired to do is. And this goes for anything in life. If you ask someone to rate themselves, whether it's looks or how they're doing in life, how they're doing professionally, personal finance, there is, and I have no numbers or research to back this up, but just from listening to people and seeing stuff online, there is an 80% chance that they will say somewhere between a 5 and a 7, because that is the comfortable range where you sound humble enough to where you're admitting that you're not in the top, 5, 10, 15%, but you're not doing terrible. You're about average or you're a little above average. I mean, if you see these people go on shows like Caleb Hammer, which, if you don't know, is this guy that uh, has these people on his podcast. He's a financial YouTuber, and he has these people on his podcast that are obviously just in dire straits. I mean, they have terrible finances, bad spending habits, jobs that are not going to help them climb out of debt. And he's got millions of subscribers. So obviously, the people that are on these shows are the worst of the worst. And the producers have hand selected these people because they know that these people are going to come on the podcast and just lay it out all out there, and it's just going to be terrible. And yet they come on, and when he asked them to, he asked them for their Hammer Financial score. So it's rating themselves on a scale of 1 to 10 of how they're doing with personal finance. And there are people that have applied to the show. They've seen the show before. They know that the people that come on are a 0, maybe a 1 out of 10, and they'll still say that they're 4 or 5 or even higher than that, as in their average or their median for their age. And it's like, what are you even thinking? And it's the same thing with the average Joe Schmo who, isn't the polar end of like terrible with, it doesn't have to be finances, whatever it may be. And they just think that they are in a much better spot than they actually are. And people just need to be humbled or need to do some more self-reflection to realize that there is levels to this. And that saying is so true, even though it might seem cliche or corny or whatever you want to say. And another example would be, how many calories do you eat in a day? You see these people go online saying, "Oh, I can't lose weight. Oh, diets don't work for me," whatever it may be. And it's obvious that they just have no idea what they're putting in their body. And I don't mean this to be like a slam piece on other people, because I am totally, totally guilty of this myself. I mean, you can see I just got home from work. I have been thinking about this the whole 30-minute car ride home. And so I was thinking about it myself, like thinking about these same examples that I've just provided. Where would I rate myself in these different categories of life? How many calories do I eat in a day? And I really have no idea, which results in me wanting to give myself the benefit of the doubt, because that's just what's convenient for me. And I think that it prevents, just putting yourself in the like safe range of like, oh, I'm not doing too bad, or I'm not too far off of my diet or my goals or whatever it may be, kind of like lulls people into this false sense of security of, you know, I'm doing just good enough to where if I just keep at this level, then I can just kind of coast forever and, things will never go awry and I will just be kind of at this comfortable level that I'm at right now forever, which sometimes is true. Sometimes people are doing just enough to where they can be comfortable and if they just lived out the rest of their lives at the stage that they're at now, maybe they'll never get any health complications and they'll meet someone that they end up spending the rest of their life with, and all that is great. But I just don't understand how there are so many people out there that just do this to themselves and it just puts a ceiling on your entire life and your ability to like really get out there and like do some crazy shit and like make something of yourself that you never thought was possible. I don't want to like fall into this trope of like subscribing to these YouTubers that are or these people on social media in general that is like the alpha male mentality where it's like, oh, you're not pushing yourself hard enough and you just got to dig deep and release the beast or whatever it may be. Like, but to an extent that is true because they're people are just so comfortable with where they're at in life and it's because they are just lying about everything. And I think that it is important for everyone, myself included, to really take a step back and think about the lies that you are telling yourself and pick out like which ones of those are detrimental to you and to your life. Maybe, telling yourself that you're working 40 hours a week. I know that was an example I brought up earlier. If you're getting paid for 40 hours a week and you are only working 10 or 15, great. That is great for you. And, make that money if you're in a bloated company that it just has no idea that you even exist. And you can just, keep your teams green for 40 hours a week and call it a day, then that is great. But there are certain lies that you are telling yourself. And like I said, that I'm telling myself too, that we need to reflect on and just do better.